All right. Welcome to Lucky Podcast number 13. We have Trent in studio. Well, not in studio. I guess he's outside. He's probably at his house. But welcome, Trent, to probably your first podcast, ain't it?
Yeah, absolutely. My first one.
Well, welcome aboard. You've been with us 2 years now,
Yep, this is the second year I've been with you guys.
and you've now killed the biggest deer Outdoor X Media has ever videoed. So that's pretty badass.
Pretty lucky, I guess you could say.
I don't know about that. You've killed some really good deer. I'd rather be lucky than good, though. So
Yeah.
but let's jump right into the hunt, kind of when it started, and kind of walk us through detail by detail, and go from there.
I'll start from the summer. That this ditch that I'm typically hunting is thick. It's nasty. I hate even in it. Like shed hunting, everything's dead, but it's still a pain in the butt to walk through. But there's usually some good deer in there. But I've hunted this farm for 10 plus years, and I've never really put any time into it, just because that's just kind of a hard place to hunt with the wind. If you sit in it, it just swirls and it's just hard to get into. But the summer, I put a camera in there, and it worked good for three months. Then the signal went out when the leaves started growing. I'm assuming it just lost signal. And every time I'd go over to the farm and check cameras, I'd just get too busy and just wear myself out. And I just didn't go grab that card or change the cameras out. And I just kept pushing it off and off and off. And I probably in, let's see, August or September, I went in there finally, and because it's standing corn around it and there's no really good in it. I bought that bike off of Jesse, and it's just like, yeah, I can do that, but I don't like riding through the corn stalks because it just smacks it and throw you around. So I finally quit being lazy and walked in there and pulled that card and got home and looked through the pictures. And like right after I put that camera, or when it quit working or quit sending me pictures, I should say, that big one was in there, and he was in there every day, all the time. And I didn't know how big he really was. Like I was like, it's a really good deer. I would not personally pass him because I'm a character guy. I love deer with character. And so it's just after I got that other camera in there, replaced it, and it started sending me pictures, and I'm getting them of him. I'm like, okay, let's kind of hone in on this ditch and figure out what he's doing. And there's another ditch that goes to the river that I have another stand at, and I had scrapes on both sides. One's probably 30 yards from the tree to the northeast, and the other scrape is to the south, 5 yards. And he is constantly hitting both of those scrapes, like every day. And it was getting close to October. I'm like, I think I can kill this deer in this little small finger close to the road. I mean, and that's what worried me the most, is like he's going down this finger right beside the road, and somebody's going to shoot him off the road, or they're going to see him and scare him or whatever. So I that okay, so it was, we hunted October 7th. That morning, me and my girlfriend went and sat in this double stand on the north end of that ditch, and we both took our bows. She's never shot a deer before, so she hunted with me last year and shot one during shotgun season, but never bow hunted. So I'm like, it's way different. We aren't sitting in a blind. You're in a tree stand. We're 10 feet off the ground in a small evergreen. And the first morning we get in there, and deer start piling through. I mean, we've seen 20 does, 3 little spike bucks. And I'm trying to get her a shot, and it's just not working out. The winds was we weren't getting smelled until right at the end. Then the wind picked up and kind of shifted. One doe blew, but they didn't really know what was going on, and we just didn't end up getting a shot. So I went home, ate, took a nap, and we headed back out there. And I was just like, Tessa, I said, I can you go to that stand by yourself? Like, it's not far. It's easy. You just walk down the fence line, go across the pond dam, and it's right there. And she's like, yeah. I just wanted to make sure she was comfortable with that. And she was. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go just on the other side of the ditch. Just it's like 400 to 500 yards south of where she's sitting in the same ditch. So she's like, yeah, go ahead. She's like, I don't want to hold you back from something. It's like, okay. So I head in there, and it's like I said, it's 150, 200 yards off the road. And this ditch, how it lays, it runs north and south, and it's probably 80 to 90 yards wide, but it's nasty, absolutely nasty. So I head in there, and I usually get dressed at the tree, which it's only 60 yards into the ditch. So I got dressed before that because I could hear deer coughing like right next to the stand. So I got dressed before that, walked to the stand, got in there, didn't bump anything. So I'm like, that's good. Got climbed up in it, strapped up, pulled the bow up, setting up all the cameras, got the GoPro, Tacticam, and this is where it gets really good. Got the big camera arm, base shoulders strapped in, camera arm set, grab the camera, and I look at it, and there's no slide base. And the reason for it, I was going to sell it to one of our team members, and they backed out. So I was just like, oh, no worries. But I just left it in the box to sell it and didn't even think about it until I got out there and didn't have it. So that kind of put me in. I was kind of mad at myself. And I think I put it in the Snapchat group.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Hunter's just like, he's going to walk under you. And I'm like, I think I'll just go home because I know it too. And sure enough, he does. Like, the only buck I seen, I think I had 3 does underneath me, but it's so thick in there. I couldn't see them. They were like 20 yards, but I couldn't see them. I first seen him, he was northwest, probably 80 yards, and I could just see the rack coming through. And I wasn't for sure what deer it was till he turned, and I seen the one kicker on the side, and I instantly grabbed my bow and over here turning on all the cameras, just like, and he's coming. There's a trail, right underneath me at like 5 yards, and it's just wide open, perfect for him to walk down. And that's what we figured he was doing, because he was making it to that those other cameras with the scrapes. He was making it to him at like 30, so it was dark then. So it's like, this is why I'm gonna go sit this stand, because I'm gonna try cutting him off, because we figured he was bedding in that ditch. As many pictures I had of him, and here he comes. He comes across. He's probably at 40. Gets into the shooting lane I had, and I'm like, he's gonna come right to me. I'm just gonna wait. And of course, he goes to the east, and he starts getting into the thick stuff. And I don't have a shooting lane at all through there. I hardly ever hunt this stand because it's just, like I said, I just thick and I don't like going in there. And he gets in this little dried creek bed because it hasn't rained at all in Iowa, I guess. So he gets in there, he starts going north, and I'm like, he's gonna go to Tessa, and she's gonna kill the biggest buck that I've ever seen. I'm like, no way. And I'm getting ready to text her, and he turns around, comes towards me, takes about 5-10 steps, comes towards me, and he's just sitting there kind of raking his horn on the branches and everything, not making a scrape, just like a licking branch, I guess. And he comes in, he stops, and I'm just waiting because I'm like, he's still he's at like 10-15 yards right at this moment. And I'm standing up because if I can shoot him sitting down to my left where I thought he was coming, but if he comes to my right, I can't shoot sitting down because I left a branch to hang all my binos and cameras on. And so I'm stood up, and he just sits there, and I'm like sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and I'm like, hopefully these cameras don't die. I'm like, the GoPro's on. I'm like, it's got full battery, and I got one of those external chargers or whatever, so I'm not too worried about those. Then the Tacticams are running, but I'd shut them off until I figured he'd come into frame. And he sits there for what feels like an hour, but it's probably 30 minutes, literally at 10 yards. I could not see him. I'm freaking like, did this deer just walk out, just disappear? You know how these big deer are. You get them in where you think, and you take your eye off them just for a second, and then they're just gone. So I'm kind of freaking out at this point. I'm texting my dad. I'm like, I don't even want to look at my phone because I don't want to take my eyes off that spot where he was at. He's at like 20. I had texted him when he was at 25 going the opposite way. I'm like, he's here. That he's 25 yards. And he's like freaking out, texting me back. I was like, did you get him? Did you get him? Did you get him? Like I said, I don't want to lose that sight of him, but I can't see him at this point. So I had it in my pocket, grabbed it. I'm like, he's at 10 yards, but I said, I can't see him. And finally, it's funny. I told Jesse this the other day when I gave him my SD cards. There was this big possum walking behind me, and I'm like, this sucker's gonna scare him off, because I mean, he just sounds like an elephant walking through there. Yep. But this possum goes right towards this deer, and he's probably within 10 yards, and this deer I haven't seen him in 30 minutes. And I just kind of, I asked God, I said, if you take this possum and kick up this deer for me, I will never shoot another possum ever. Of course, this possum gets within 3 yards of this deer, and he stands up, and I see his rack turn, and I'm like, oh gosh, here he is. And I mean, I have a basketball sized window. I can slip one through if he stands up and takes a step, but he doesn't. He keeps coming to me, creek bed. And at that point, I was freaking out. As my heart's pounding out of my chest. I usually don't get too excited until after the shot, but sitting there for 30, 40 minutes, whatever it was, it's just, trying to come out. And here he comes. I'd say it's 7 yards, and I probably had a window like that, and you guys will see it in the video. And it was dead calm, so I didn't want to stop him, but he just stops in that hole. I probably should have let him take another step, but I did not want to risk him take too far, and then all I have is a gut shot, because I can only see about a foot from the top of his back down, so I can't see his lower belly. And I just, in the video, there's one branch in the way, and I kind of black out when I shoot. I don't every time, doesn't matter, doe, buck, I just black out when it comes to pulling the trigger, I guess. So I pull back, and I'm standing up at this point, and it's like straight down, and I don't like that. I'd rather them be out 25 yards, because I don't think I've ever shot a deer past 25 yards. Never had to. But he's at like 7 yards, and he's already in a creek bed. And I'm 25 to 30 feet up in the air in a basketball-sized tree. I'm sticking out like a sore thumb, and the sun's shining only right where I am. That's it. There's shade everywhere else but me. It's just like, oh gosh, he's going to see me moving. So I pulled back, and like I said, it's dead calm, so I can't really make any noise. And I'm at full draw. He comes in the opening, stops, and I'm like, now or never. I said, if I let him take another step, he might go too far, and I might not get a shot. And I was like, I just can't pass up that opportunity. And I shot, and instantly I see the blood shoot out of the entry hole. okay, that's good, but my arrow just does not penetrate like I thought it would. Shooting 70 pounds, and I watch him run off, and I hear the deer. There's a cornfield like 60, 70 yards to my east, and it just sounds like an elephant running through it. And I would have bet $1,000 that was him running through there as hard as he could, because I mean he was flying. And so I sit there. I think I called Tessa. I'm like, do not get out of your stand, no matter what. Do not move, because I wasn't for sure on the shot and everything. And I've I've lost a couple deer before. I know my dad's lost one because somebody else got out of a stand and got to walking back to the truck and didn't tell him, and his deer was laying there, kicked it up, never. So I was just like, don't move. I'll come get you at dark. So I'm watching the footage on my GoPro, and I'm still like not sure, not terribly sure. Just like let's just get out of here. My dad wanted to go look for blood. I'm like, let's just leave him. There's no rush. I mean, we know he's hit. I thought it was decent, but not. He just never. If I don't watch him fall, I don't like going in after him. So I just like, let's back out and come back in the morning, and because I'd rather look in the daylight with blood instead of flashlights, and with that thick stuff and as green as it is, I just didn't think our luck would be very good that night. So home, and I think Dad and I sat there till 11. He's drawing angles of the stand, how the arrow, we're trying to figure out how much penetration we get by looking at the footage and stuff. And I'm sending it to you guys. And I think Jesse's just like, he's like, for sure. I think Drake, I think you got enough penetration. I just didn't want to get too, I don't know. I just didn't want to get my hopes up and him not be there. So I didn't really sleep. I slept for about 2 hours, and I'm looking at my phone, looking at all the deer pictures I'm getting. I'm just like, man, I might have just screwed that up big time. But it's like, I know I got good blood right at the shot, and I know the entry hole's big because it looked like a baseball hit him. And so the next morning we get up, and it's like 6:50 or 7. I get loaded up, drive over there, and we go to the shot, and I get to where he was standing. I don't see anything. I'm like, I know there was blood and like come out instantly, and I think I was thinking too much, just to getting distracted or trying too hard, I guess. Then I think Dad or Tess was like, hey, there's blood right here within like 3 steps. So where I was looking, I just blind, I guess. So we get the fall on it, and it's decent enough to where we can just kind of walk and follow it, and it doesn't go in the corn like I could have swore he went in. And just like and we kind of had lost it about 70. It just I had my in the timber, and I went out the corn, and it's like, Dad, I don't got it. So we get to the creek, the dried up creek, and he goes, well, he crossed this. So we finally, I mean, and they're just, they're not pin needles. They're a little bit bigger, and get the fall in it again. And we get about 30 yards past the creek crossing, and I'm at that point, I can't see. I'm starting to stress out a little bit now. And I'm standing there, and I found this one little pea drop of blood, and I'm just like, Dad, I don't know, dude. We might just have to grid search. And my girlfriend's back behind us filming, and she's like 10, 15 yards behind us. And I guess she's yelling, Trent, your arrow, it's right there. And I can't hear. I don't know. I'm zoned out, like just looking for blood. And my dad's standing there. He don't say nothing to me. And he finally hears her. He goes, Trent, your arrow's right there. I'm looking around within like a five-yard window. I'm like, where? Like, where are you guys looking? Like, I'm getting, like, what are you guys looking at? How am I missing this? And she's like, yeah, your arrow's right over there. Well, there was a briar bush or cluster of them, and I just couldn't see it. So I backed up there, and my dad's like, he's laying there. The arrow's still in it. I'm like, oh no. Tessie, you just found him. And I kind of freaked it out a little bit. And dad's already took off running around the briars to go look at him. So we get around the briars finally and get up there. And his rack's kind of underneath the grass and stuff. And first impression, I'm like, man, I mean, he's nice, and then I pull him out and I'm like, oh, bigger. I don't know if I wasn't jacked, I'm one of those people, I don't get jacked up until after the shot, but I was already worried about the shot placement. So I didn't really get too excited, but although that probably looks really bad, 190-inch deer, and I'm not excited, but it is on the inside. I just I kind of got speechless there. So pulled him up and got him set up, and I'm just like, holy moly. I had to count the points. I'm like, 19? I'm like, really? I'm like, there's no way. And like, checking the bases. I mean, his bases were both 6 inches. It's just nuts. So we get him, finally get him drug out. And I didn't think his body was that big until you start dragging him. But we only had to drag him probably 50 yards to the edge of the corn. Then we brought the four-wheeler up, picked him up, and got him out for the pictures and stuff. But pretty excited. I don't think it still has hit me yet. Like, looking at the pictures, it's like, holy moly. I was really hoping my dad would go in there. But, of course, the one afternoon I hunt, I see him at 5 to 7 yards, and I can't pass up a deer like that.
Yeah, this was Saturday night, right?
Yep, Saturday night.
Horizon, the temperatures, and
right at 6:50, I think is when in the afternoon. But he come out probably right at 6, I would say. By the time he walked 80 yards, it took him 50 minutes.
What part of Iowa are you in? You're in southern Iowa, right?
Yeah, all the way against the border, pretty much.
Okay. You don't have to give us specifics, but so you're southern Iowa boy.
Yep. Pretty fortunate. Very fortunate, I should say. But
yeah, I mean, so did you know him before, or did he just kind of show up?
That's one of those things. I need to go back. I think I have my computer here. I need to go back and see. There was a 9-pointer in there last year, and he was probably 130, 140, but he had the same screwed up left beam. It just went up and it was long. And I passed him actually out of that same stand like 6 times. Like, he looked really nice from a long ways away, but then he got close, and I had another big one I was chasing last year. I was just like, I am not going to shoot 130, 40-inch 9-pointer when there's possibly a 200-inch deer running around. So I need to go look at the pictures, but I'd almost bet money it's the same deer, the way his rack is, because I haven't seen another one like that, and it's just so odd for him. Because he had that swooping up beam. It was long and his tines were short, and that's the same characteristics as that deer. I need to get on the computer and make, it's weird to think the deer grew 50 to 60 inches a year, but I've seen it. I had a buddy shoot one. I found his shed one year, and he was max that deer had to be 135. I'd say it was 130. He shot him the next year and he was 186. So, and
I mean, it happens. I mean, they're few and far between, but that's just. I mean, and the deer's so trashy. He's got all the extra points, and that stuff adds up in a big hurry. So,
yeah, it was 7, 9 extra points. I think he's just a mainframe 10. I guess I haven't really paid that much attention. I'm still kind of in. I mean, I look at the pictures every day, but it's still I don't know. I'm still in shock, I guess.
That's exciting, man. I'm happy for you and kind of jealous at the same time.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm you. My dad was talking. He goes, "You can't ever get past October 15th, Mr. October." I don't know. I'm impatient, I guess.
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're shooting 2 and 3-year-olds just to be tagged out. I mean, you're shooting big old mature deer. So when those opportunities present themselves, you got to do it.
I'd say average wise, and I don't own any ground. I just hunt on what I can. And average wise, I'd say it's probably right around 160 with my bow, and it might be a little bit higher. I mean, it's not 190 like this deer, but it's I don't care about the score really. It's like I said, it's just I'm a character guy. If it looks cool, I'm shooting it. So like last year's buck was, I think he was a mainframe 10 with split brows. He's just wide and nice deer. Probably could have been passed and been something real special this year, but at 5 yards on my second hunt of the year, it's hard to not shoot that deer.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Are you gonna go muzzleloader?
what's that?
Are you gonna go early muzzleloader?
I won't go early muzzleloader. I do have an extra buck tag for the CWD zone that I do down here. And so I got it for second season shotgun. Then I'll have a statewide late muzzleloader tag also.
Okay. Cool. What's exciting?
Can't go wrong with that. Now Mission is getting the girlfriend on one.
Yeah, we're gonna there's that big one that I was chasing last year, hoping we can try getting my dad in because I've got 6 years of history with him, 3 sheds. I didn't find his last year's set, and that was pretty disheartening because I was feeding him, after season, and he was coming in daylight all day long, eating corn. And it was like second week of February, and then the neighbors started feeding, and they've got a lot more money than I do and can feed a lot more. So he just disappeared and didn't come back. So I didn't find that set of sheds because I really didn't want to shoot him last year. I really just wanted to find those sheds because I knew that would be the I'd ever find in my life. Because we rough scored him just by pictures. He was over 210, with 18 or 19 points also.
Wow.
But he was tall, and his set I had found the year before was 180, and he just made that set look small with last year's pictures. But this year he shrunk quite a bit. I shouldn't say he's a small deer. He's probably still pushing 180, but he's just a lot smaller than he was last year. So.
Right.
But we'll try getting Dad or Tessa. I don't know. Tessa might not even be able to pull back when you're walking. So, I know Dad. I was really been trying to get Dad on a big deer for a couple years, but it seems like I just get put in the spot, and just so happens that deer will walk under me. So. We'll give it some. I need to just not go until November so he can go in there and hunt my stands.
I also have a bow and will travel.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, got something big, Greg.
Yeah. I'm waiting for one to show back up. He might be dead in the corn, but who knows?
Yeah, I called dibs on that big 6-pointer. That's all I'm saying. If Tessa doesn't shoot it, I'm calling dibs. That thing is.
There's plenty in there that need to go. That 6, he was there last year, and he's just kind of a turd, but he's
cool.
Should have shot him last year. I had 25 yards, and I had 3 buck tags, but I was still waiting on that big one. I just didn't want to shoot a 120-inch 6-pointer with my bow when, like I said, there's a 200 plus around. But it was perfect. I had all the video, film. It would have been perfect. I mean, he walked right up to me, knew I was in the tree. I think he watched me climb in the tree stand and just walked right up to me. He's just asking for it.
That's the kind of deer I need. Like, this is getting better and better.
Yeah, always on. It died, so I need to go change some batteries and stuff and get after it. There's quite a few deer in there. There's that one I think I showed you guys in summer, velvet with the second beam, third beam.
Oh, yep.
I have one half picture of him without velvet, but that was early, but I haven't seen him since. But I just, the neighbors, they don't like shooting nothing unless it's giant. But then my neighbors to the north, they're gun hunters, so they won't be in there. So there's not much pressure. But need to get some cameras. Oh, I know the farmers are in there picking corn these days too, so that should help a lot.
Right. Yep, it's just starting, and it's going to be good again. This, second cold front's coming through. So by the time this airs, it'll be. I think it's what is it, Tuesday, the 10th?
Mm-hmm.
Probably try to get this knocked out by Thursday, and hopefully have your hunt go live on Friday. That's my goal. I'm working on the thumbnail right now, so
good luck.
Give people that extra incentive to get out there and hunt this weekend.
Yeah, those videos, I don't know if they show up on your computer, but they will not show up on mine.
I watched everything, so everything works. So
hey, where I started, and I'm like, nope, not good. I shut it off. I'm like, Jesse just have to go through it all.
yeah, there's a bunch of clips, but I'd rather have too much to work with than not enough. I can always not use stuff, but it's kind of hard to make stuff happen for out of nowhere. So.
And, like I said, it was a 100-yard walk from the pickup. But I even thought about it. I was like, I need to get my GoPro on. And I'm like, I nothing anyway. So I'll just film with my phone for 15 seconds, do a small little interview. Then I think I filmed me getting dressed and then done. And season's over.
That if I can shoot a 190 and have season be over, sign me up.
Yeah, I'll even shoot and do that.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you jumping on here and kind of giving us the play-by-play of the hunt, and we'll drop this podcast later this week, and then by the time this is up and people are listening to it, they can watch the hunt the next day. So
I probably still have to send you some WeTransfer some videos.
Yeah.
I'll do that, but I'll do that right after.
No problem. Yeah, and if you happen to double back and think you have pictures of them from last year, shoot a couple of those over too. So,
well, congrats.
Awesome. Thank you.